very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to the 18th Mumbai International Film Festival's compelling session on Unveiling Herstory, exploring women's narratives through documentary filmmaking. Please ensure your phones are on silent mode as we delve into the stories of women through the lens of documentaries. I am Deepa Rani, your host for this session, and it's giving me immense pleasure to welcome you all here, as today we are highlighting the significance of women's narratives in documentaries. Before we start, I would like to thank the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, the National Film Development Corporation, and the Satyajit Ray Film and Television Institute, Kolkata. We extend our gratitude to all contributors for making this event possible. Today, we delve into the unique role of documentaries in unveiling women's stories, with sessions focusing on various facets of filmmaking and storytelling. This session will discuss how documentaries serve as a powerful medium for exploring and amplifying women's voices. Our distinguished panelists will share their journeys and insights on crafting narratives that resonate and drive change. Now it's time to welcome our esteemed guests. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our esteemed guests with heartfelt applause. So first of all, I would like to call upon stage Ms. Srishti Lakhere, 69th National Award winner, documentary filmmaker. Up next, I would like to call upon stage Ms. Farha Khatun, 65th and 67th National Film Awards winner. I would like to request, please go ahead and take a seat. Up next, it's Ms. Isabelle Simeoni, an author, director, producer, and a member of 50/50 and CSC, Commissioning Image of Diversity. So ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm applause for our esteemed guests. And last but not the least, Ms. Barbarooah is a director, writer, actor, and a model. And moderating today's session is Ms. Queen Hazarika, a prominent voice in documentary narration since 1996. So once again, I would like to request, please give a warm applause for our moderator and our panelists. So we will also welcome your questions at the end of the session. So please be prepared to engage. Now, I would like to invite on stage Mr. D. Ramakrishnan, General Manager, National Film Development Corporation. So ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for him too. And would like to request you to come ahead and felicitate our esteemed guests. Ladies and gentlemen, तालियों की गड़गड़ाहट रुकनी नहीं चाहिए. Thank you so much, Mr. D. Ramakrishnan, for this amazing gesture, and I would like to request you to share a few words. Can we hear it for Mr. D. Ramakrishnan once again?
Thank you so much. It's a great session going to be present here. I could see the panel. It's, the people around here is truly international. And Unveiling Herstory. The topic itself shows the powerful portrayal of documentary through the voices of the powerful woman sitting here. And, documentary is all about reality and the truth, which is being shown in the objectivity of the material. So there is always a subjectivity, there is a perspective towards the approach. Every object, when we approach, always there is an influence from the filmmaker or anyone, whether we do it on any work or whether you call it film or any activity. It's always, there is a perspective from the person who is doing it. So the people sitting here and including me wanted to know that what is the perspective and whether we are telling the story untouched or there is some kind of influence. That is all about the panel, what I could make out from the topic. Looking forward to see it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. D. Ramakrishnan, for sharing the amazing words. So now I would like to invite Ms. Queen Hazarika to lead today's discussion. All over to you.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us here. Right. So the panel's discussion today, as we already know, is Unveiling Herstory, exploring women's narrative through documentary filmmaking. Well, I would like to quote Mark Twain when he said, "Truth is stranger than fiction." And our life is all about living through different stories. Each one of us, we have a story of our own. And sometimes these stories are told, and sometimes it just gets lost in the tides of time. And we also have storytellers, like our panelists today, who document real-life stories and present it to the world through their lenses. It's a pleasure to be sharing the stage with you all, and I think we can start the session, right? Okay, so I would put across the question to Srishti first, Srishti Lakhere. Right. I personally, I was intrigued when I went through your biodata. So you use this digital anthropology in documentary films. How do you go about it?
Hi everyone, my name is Srishti and I have been making documentary till now. I'll just introduce also myself so that I can connect to who I am and what I do.
Well, allow me to do that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Srishti Lakhere is a documentary filmmaker from the Himalayan region of India, and her debut documentary features Ek Tha Gaon, Once Upon a Village, and it has won many awards, including the prestigious John Abraham Award in 2022, the Best Film and the Best Audiography in the 69th National Film Awards. So over to you. I would like to ask you the question again about digital anthropology in documentary filmmaking. How do you go about it?
So again, my work is mostly in Uttarakhand and largely in the mountain area, in the Himalayan region. I'm very much interested in rural stories from my region, where I am from also. Especially in the pandemic times, when things got lockdowns happened, we weren't allowed to move around very easily. And I always have seen this, there's a stark divide which continues to be so in India specifically, on rural and urban, and the kind of access one has if you're living in rural and the kind of access you have when you're living in an urban space. But in the pandemic, I started also noticing how that divide was also happening on people who had access to online and the people who were offline mostly. So the kind of information one has suddenly, or could have access to information, training yourself. I saw a lot more of that happening in Uttarakhand, where I work mostly, in the rural areas, and especially younger people were accessing information and very specific kind of teaching themselves to do things maybe around technology, especially even filmmaking that way has evolved so much, right? With the kind of information we do have online. I constantly Google or YouTube on how to do things, on how to run a camera better, or how to run a software, editing software better. So that kind of interest that I saw, that we were moving more in that direction of our dependency on digital, on phones, on information that comes from there, which is happening a lot in rural. So that's where I got more interested in the pandemic year especially. And I also did some workshops on AI and machine learning, using those softwares in your filmmaking or creating narratives. So I did I'm interested in that, so that. But also this one film that I'm working on right now, it's about these hip-hop artists in the mountains, again in Uttarakhand, and how it was very fascinating meeting these young hip-hoppers in very remote places. It takes 3 days to travel from Delhi to this town, Dharchula, where I'm working. And it's fascinating because these young hip-hoppers have taught themselves how to make beats, how to write lyrics in a rhythm of hip-hop. They're trying to learn how to record themselves, do mixing themselves, and it's all online. They're sitting in the mountains, they're doing these things, teaching themselves. And it's also a lot of them come from backgrounds where their fathers are mostly doing manual labor, and manual labor they're breaking stones for 8 hours a day. So they were talking about how, one of the options that they have in their life to what they can do, or they have to do very often to make ends meet, is to break stones. But from there you can shift to being, to being a poet an artist. So that shift that a person can make is quite, it's like the dignity you can, sorry, I don't know why I'm getting emotional. This is like, but like, yeah, the jump you can do, I don't know. That's why I'm very interested in digital anthropology.
Right. That's very powerful, actually. And there's one more question I wanted to ask you about your film, Ekta Gaon. So it's about mass immigration from the villages, right? So how does it affect the women? Because as women, we are very attached to our homes. We put our heart and soul into making our homes. You know, we bring up children, and there are so many things that, so when there's mass immigration happening, how does it affect the women? I mean, you have definitely studied while, you were documenting their lives. So could you please tell us about it?
Okay. Okay, I'm just trying to come out from English. Okay. So I, again, like the film before this that I worked on, Ekta Gaon, it's a film that I, again, Uttarakhand, it's my father's village. And when I started filming it, there were only, it's a film about migration and how many people are leaving the villages in Uttarakhand. And in my father's village, there were only 7 people when I started filming it. And it is about women, and I guess surprisingly, or maybe not, most of the people who were left behind, I would say, were women and Dalits. So it is, what I found while working on that film was like the choice to be able to like choose maybe going into city and having that access to the city of like maybe employment and education was a lot more to privileged men, and the rest were left behind. So women being definitely the people who were left behind and were like, had to live through the difficulty of like not having access to making employment and earning your own money was always like a very strong thing I heard, that women were like, I want to earn my own money, but that was not allowed. Like they had to just like keep raising children only, or doing farm work only. So to not have that choice to be access the other was very often they were devoid of it. So
yeah, thank you, Srishti. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Farha Khatun now. So she's a filmmaker and an editor from India. And after receiving her professional training in editing from Kolkata's Rupkola Kendro, she worked and traveled throughout India, and understanding firsthand the everyday challenges of gender, patriarchy, religious and other forms of chauvinism. And through her documentary, she articulates about her beliefs, and be it a poignant story about a transgender footballer, or one of a Muslim woman priest who challenges patriarchy, and another one on the line of indigenous environmentalist in India from Northeast Hills. And she is also the 2-time recipient of President of India's National Film Award for Best Documentary Film for I Am Bonnie and Holy Rights. And her personal journey, in her personal journey, she focuses mostly on gender issues. So, Farha. The first question which I have for you is, what inspired you to document these stories? Especially Bonnie and, the Muslim priest is what I'm intrigued about.
Thank you so much for the intro, and thank you for having me here and giving this space to talk about us, the story that keeps us going on. So for me, it's the everyday life that I was seeing around, and how women especially were suffering out of this. And like Srishti said about the access So one has to be privileged enough to have certain access and navigate through the dreams they want to pursue. So in these stories, both in I Am Bonnie and in Holy Rites, what happened, both Safia Appa, the protagonist of Holy Rites, and Bonnie, the protagonist of I Am Bonnie, they were dreamers, they were achievers, but they also had to go through a lot of hurdles. And that is very inspiring to learn from them. And also when you see that a woman like Safia, who is around 60 years old, and she's trying to dream something and trying to achieve something for, trying to raise her voice against the oppression that is happening against women, that is, I think, something very inspirational to me, because I also come from a background where I have seen these things happening around me. So that's why, these stories, these people are, I felt, very important to continue to be with them, live with them, learn from them, and also unlearn the things, that is not needed maybe. So that's why, I went along with them, more like living with them, their life, and learning. Yeah.
Thank you, Farha. I would move to Isabella now. So, ladies and gentlemen, Isabella is an author. Isabelle Simeoni is an author. She's a director and producer of documentaries. She is a member of 50/50 and CNC Commissioning Image of Diversity. She developed a strong passion for arts growing up in Corsica. Isabella earned her undergraduate BA in Arts and Communication at SF College in New York, and she completed with creative writing for films in New York University. Isabella, my question for you. What are the challenges, because you are more into diversity, inclusivity, so what are the challenges of making the entertainment industry more inclusive and gender fluid?
Hi. Please let me first thank everybody for the invitation. I'm most honored to be here, and I'd like especially to thank Gori and Golda Selim for making it possible for me to be here. My main focus is women issues, gender issues, and inclusion, and I believe these are hand-in-hand struggles. The film that I've been directing and producing for a few years, mostly directing now, are really about trying to find ways to bring these issues to the biggest audience. And these are, when we're starting working on this on these issues with my co-authors or co-directors, sometimes I do film on my own, sometimes I co-direct. But what we realized is that no matter where we looked at, the struggles, the difficulties, and the means to achieve progress were the same wherever we looked at. Either the last film co-directed with Aïssa Maïga, who is a very famous French actress, was about the absence of visibility of women of color on screen. So we travel through France, of course, but also Brazil. We went to the United States. We went to a casting festival in Ireland where we met, European casting directors and worldwide casting directors. And because we believe that representation is one of the best ways to achieve progress. Seeing yourself on a screen is a very powerful means. So I would give you an example. When the American series, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's 24 Hours, there was a black president in the series, in the storytelling. And this helped a lot the election of Barack Obama, because people got in their mind the idea that this was possible, not only for people who were dealing with the inclusion issues, but also for people from other backgrounds. So representation, to me, is always something that I'm going to be looking for in the storytelling. So, this is why I'm always trying to find projects and storytelling that will come across these fields of introspection.
Thank you. And now I'll move to Prerna Barbarooah, who is an Indian director, writer, actress, and model. And she has written and directed more than 50 documentaries, docudramas, feature films, short films, television serials, advertisement, and of course, music videos. Barbarooah has earned multiple prestigious accolades, and most notable being the National Film Award in 2007, and Certificate of Merit for Outstanding Achievement in Creativity at Mumbai IDPA Awards in 2015, Youth Cultural Talent Award in 2016, and Prerna Award in 2022. Well, Prerna, I'd like to know about, your journey one, and also about the voices of women across time in India.
Thank you very much. And firstly, I would like to thank Mumbai International Film Festival for having us here, especially because both Queen and I are from the northeast part of the region, and we are so proud to be here talking to you, representing our nation, our region. So thank you very much, and thank you to Gauri and everyone involved for being so hospitable, and you've been really wonderful since we got here yesterday. And it's especially very special to me because the venue is right next to the college where I did my graduation, Sophia's, so it brings back a lot of memories. So I feel it's a big privilege for me to be here. So thank you very much. Thanks. So you wanted to know about my journey
as a filmmaker. Journey as a filmmaker. And how do you give life to the voices of women?
Right.
Yeah.
So my journey is one where I grew up in a film family, actually. My father was a producer, so I ran around the sets of feature films being made, and I sort of was running amongst the biggies of Assamese film, not knowing that probably that was a time a germ was implanted in my brain that maybe I should go into this field. And most of the people in our Assamese film industry, they thought that I would go into acting, but I always wanted to be behind the camera. So when I came to Bombay and then I was in Xavier's Institute of Communication, I did my film and television. So I always was more comfortable behind the camera, and that's where I think the greatest satisfaction came from. So I started working in non-fiction in terms of I was in New Delhi working with renowned journalist Karan Thapar. So I worked with him and learned a lot about editing current affair programs. And post that, I decided to go back to Assam and started independently making documentaries. This was in the early 2000s. And as you all know, that Meghalaya is our neighboring state, and Shillong, a beautiful, beautiful hill station, is just 2 hours drive from Guwahati, and it's almost the most favorite place to go to for everyone living in Guwahati. So we always used to travel to Meghalaya during our holidays, or any excuse that we could find of it's too hot in Guwahati, let's go to Shillong. And what intrigued me was the society there. Meghalaya's people, most of the Senkhasi group, they are a matrilineal society. So that was very intriguing because, well, as a little girl, we have been brought up in a patriarchal society where your father is the head of the family. And here we see that after marriage, the boy is going and living in his wife's place. So that was really fascinating for me, and I started questioning very early on just the how, how is it possible? So that was the idea, I guess, which I wanted to explore for my first film, first independent film, though I had made other films which were more to do with tourism and culture and stuff. So this was very close to my heart, and I sort of researched it for 2 years, and I shot the entire film for a year. And I basically covered the various aspects of the matrilineal society, the birth, an actual marriage, and a death ceremony, and with characters of the family and what do they represent, what are the roles of the various members, like the husband, the youngest daughter, and the maternal uncle. So they have very significant role to play in the family structure. So it was very interesting, and I ended up with 36 hours of footage, and I had to bring it down to 36 minutes. It's always a struggle, but yeah, one had to do it. And it was, like I said, it was very, very satisfying. That is where my journey really started off. And you want me to talk about the other aspect?
We will go there. So your film was The Spirit of
the Graceful Lineage.
Yes. And that won made you win your first national award, National Film Award in 2006.
It is wonderful that you do something out of love and sheer curiosity of the subject, and then you get awarded. Like, it's so humbling. And I was very young that time. In fact, I was pregnant with my first child, and there I was sitting next to Amitabh Bachchan and receiving the national award. It was like a really big thing for me, like a big kick. And yeah, it's wonderful. And things like this happen, and like they give you that extra push to keep going and make many important films which don't find a space, and issues which need to be talked about. And then you got to do it as a woman filmmaker.
Okay, so I actually have a common question to all of you now, since we are talking about women and we have women directors sitting here. So how well do you think women filmmakers are represented in our society, and what are the challenges that you face? I think we can start with Srishti. No? Isabella, would you like to say something?
Sure.
Yes.
Well, being a filmmaker is a challenge for everybody, either you men or women. But for women, the challenges are heightened because, first of all, you have to be taken seriously. You're never going to forget that making a film is a very expensive endeavor. So you have to, I think, work twice as hard, as usually your male friends, and also it's a struggle. Also, I think because usually we're looking for subject matters that are a little bit more challenging for the. I'm talking on my behalf, and dealing with broadcasters in France, in particular. It's always more difficult because the fear that they have that, you know, your film is not going to reach an audience big enough to, you know, to make either right financial impact or and a communication impact. So yeah, in that regard. And then, you know, you're on the set, and it's also a challenge because you have to make everybody confident. So you have to find the confidence in yourself, and then, you know, you have to, when you're a filmmaker, you're always answering questions. Everybody has to, you know, to make sure that you know what you're doing. You have your film in your mind, you know where you're going, you know what is going to be the end, you know, project. So you have to bring this confidence to your team, and it goes on and on. So for many reasons, you know, for women, it's always going to be, I mean, I'm hoping that, you know, the new generation will, you know, will get validation from us and from, you know, older generations. But I do believe that it's going to be a long struggle for women filmmakers to be professional and to bring the kind of subject matters that, you know, we want to see on screen. So, yeah.
Thank you, Isabella. Yeah, Prerna, would you like to say something? Okay, Farha, I would like to hear it from you too, because you have touched sensitive subjects, I believe. So how well were they received, and what were the challenges as a filmmaker, if any, that you had to face?
There were several different kind of challenges, but that's related to particular those films when I was making. You know, each film has its own journey, and I think I want to talk about a little bit of history here. We are sitting in this, you know, beautiful auditorium, JB Auditorium in FD, and Films Division is known for supporting documentary filmmakers, and there are several filmmakers I know, and I am one of them, who started their career by making films that were supported by Films Division. So, so I think those kind of support keeps us going, and especially when I was making I Am Bonnie along with two other directors, we are three. So those kind of support kind of gives you that push, gives you that confidence, but otherwise it's such a drought in the system. You know, nobody believes, or like people think that documentary is boring, you know, why to invest in documentaries and all. But then there are these institutions which are very important, which supported, and also I would like to mention the contribution of PSBT as well here. You know, many filmmakers I know who got fund, and also I would like to address here that in the Indian documentary especially, there are so many women. Miriam is here, Nazia is here, Solanki is here, Madhvi was also here, and we all are here as well. So when you see many voices who understand where there is a similarity, and you all come from almost same background, a little bit here and there, but your journey as a woman growing up in the same society kind of gives you that kind of, you know, camaraderie to share the space, share the burden, and that's where I think we all learn from each other. And I always had great support from the other women filmmakers. I reach out to Miriam, I reach out to Nishtha, I reach out to everybody, and they are very humble, and you know, they support you in your writing. They see your cuts and, you know, suggest you. And also I would like to mention that there are many friends who are male and who have been there and supporting us throughout this journey. Bishwajit Das is here. He was my associate director in Holy Nights. He's just hiding there. So it's a it's a journey together. You know, we all need to have each other by our side to go on to understand each other's vulnerability, to understand each other's strength, and to use that in our storytelling. I think that's what keeps me going, at least in this otherwise, not so happening industry.
Okay. Okay, all of you are travelers, you're digging into stories, you're researching, you're trying to learn about, lives that are inspiring. So is there something which is universal amongst, your subjects, the women that you meet? This is a question for all of you, since you're travelers and you're storytellers at the same time. Srishti, would you like to say something about it, please? No? Or yeah?
I am a traveler in a lot of senses. Yes. But could you please repeat the question?
Is there something universal, amongst, within the women's lives that you meet, when you are researching or digging into a story or trying to learn about it? So across geographies, is there something universal?
So I would like to say that I'm interested in gender and gender diversities, and that's where storytelling is. I'm very interested in that. But yes, there is a universality when it comes to emotions in pretty much all the genders, and that's where I think for me personally, the biggest award is when somebody watches your film and they come up to you and they're moved. Their heart felt what your person, woman, non-binary man was able to communicate, and all the barriers are broken. Mm-hmm. That is the universality I think all of us strive for. Yes. Yeah.
Yet I would like to hear from you, Farha, you too, if you can say something about it.
I'd like to give a small example. A week back, one of the filmmaker I know, he's a male filmmaker, I'm mentioning it for a reason, male filmmaker who, and a Muslim man filmmaker, who forwarded me a Instagram story that is, inside a gym, there are many Muslim women wearing, they are exercising while wearing burqa. Mm-hmm. He sent it to me, with a laugh that, see, this is happening, I saw it, and then I told him that, see, this can't be real. Because when it's a space where everybody is a woman, Muslim women don't wear burqa in front of women. It's basically, sensitizing things, and just to get the attention of other people. People fall into this kind of trap and try to believe that this is what it is. But when I check it with another woman, friend of mine, she also understood. It can't be true. So that's where it's very different. That's where it gets a similar kind of universal theme, because all of us has some kind of, filtering lifestyle since our childhood. People have told us what not to do. Don't do this. Don't laugh out loud, and don't do
the conditionings, basically.
Yes, we all have gone through the conditions. Maybe it's different in different countries, but there have always been conditions. Yeah. So that's where I think our storytelling or our traveling, where we can connect with other women, and that's why it's universal.
Yeah, Prerna, yes.
So here I want to talk about, since ancient times, actually, when historians look at the women mystics and how they express their thoughts, they felt that their verses came from experiences. So they talked a lot about, sexual slavery, suppression, discrimination, and the historians felt that they varied somehow in their expression from the male counterparts. And if you also take like our mythical Mirabai, and her expression that, you know, that voltage, that sheer abandon, that she expresses her love and despair and the extremes of union and despair, all of that kind of stood out. And later on also in the Bhakti movement, that also saw a lot of women, because here you had women who did not need to take the aid of a pandit or a purohit, that's a priest, to express her devotion. So she had the freedom to seek divinity on her own. And then later on in the 70s and the post-emergency period, amongst all Indian filmmakers, we saw a rise in questioning, sometimes questioning the state too. And there we saw a significant role played by Indian women filmmakers. And in 70s and 80s, we had Deepa Dhanraj, who talked about the family planning program. Then we had Sabha Dewan talking about marginalized female artists. Then Mothers of India by Vibha Bakshi. She talks about a rape victim. So basically what happens is we started having women who are trying to find a space. So I would like to mention here about an interesting concept which was explored by Laura Mulvey. She's a British film theorist. So she explored the term male gaze. So what do we know about male gaze? It's, to be very simplistic, male gaze is when there's a certain objectification of the female form for the pleasure of male viewing. That's like the generalized term. So later, we had an Australian filmmaker, Lisa French. And she wrote a book about female gaze in documentary filmmaking. So now female gaze is it's counter-narrative to the male gaze. So it's not what one would think, because with the female gaze, we are sort of, we have the responsibility. It's almost nurturing. So we have the responsibility to bring out issues or topics which never found voice, which probably were either ignored or not even known by their male counterparts. So this, this different explanation or the exploring by Lisa French is very interesting about the female gaze, where as women documentary filmmakers or filmmakers as such, we take this responsibility either consciously or on a subconscious level, that we want to speak about gender equality, inclusivity, violence, domestic violence, lot of topics which of course now have found the light of the day thanks to all filmmakers. And also here I think the advancement of video technology also helped a lot. Yes. Because when there was advancement, then you had smaller crews and the equipment became smaller. So when the equipment and the crew is smaller, a lot of people, a lot of women, like the girl child, yes, or sexual workers or domestic workers, their stories could be told easily by, and that is what happened. And of course, we have Nishtha Jain's Gulabi Gang in 2012, which spoke about this great group of rural women in Bundelkhand, and they rose against gender violence. So a lot of films, started talking about women, and that's again the female gaze, I think, that we want to speak and we want to tell the story. Our narrative is that of finding spaces for women and also issues which never got a chance earlier. So I think we are privileged that we are here today and we can be, the torch bearers for certain issues, like all of us have, our distinct panelists have been. So yeah, we're lucky to be living now and making films and watching films now.
Couldn't agree more, Prerna. Well, Isabella, your thoughts about it, please.
Well, you've summed up very much what I think. I would just say that, in terms of universal subject matter, I think a film has to be a good storytelling. And, good storytelling is about, a good character and a lot of emotions. And if you can have those two strong pillars to your story, then no matter what kind of storytelling you want to have, you will find anybody around the planet who will understand, at least. Maybe they'll be curious, maybe they'll be discovering something, but in terms of feeling, they will understand the struggle, they will understand the fear, they will understand the love, they will understand what is universal in between us humans. So I think, this is also why filmmaking is such a powerful tool, and this is also why it's always so difficult to find the means to do, to do your films. And in some area in the world, it's impossible for men and women to achieve, these careers, because people understand, how much difference you can make. I do believe in the colibri concept, one drop at a time. So in terms of going for the universal concept of trying to talk to the largest audience ever, I think the clearest you are, on what kind of, how would I say that? What kind of journey you want to embark your audience on. Either it's about a trans character, it's about a soccer player, it's about a doctor. The emotions, the things that your character is going to go throughout your narrative, this is where the universality will come through, and this is how films can travel all over the world. So I do believe that this is always the key that we have to look for when we try to tell a story.
Right. Thank you.
Can I add a line?
Yes,
here?
please.
So there was a film, The Day I Become a Woman. It's again a film produced by FD, and it's on period. And even before the film that won the Oscars, it was made in India. And the film, it's directed by a woman director, Mopia Mukherjee. And it talks about the traumas that we go through when we have period. And especially in the initial stage where you have to hide it almost from everybody. It's a lot of huss, Yeah. And you go through that pain alone. There's nobody to share to. And it came from a woman filmmaker, and you could relate. You could hear all those small moments that we all kind of gone through, but never been able to speak out in public. So I think that's where the film becomes a very powerful tool to raise awareness about this, and also that's where the female gaze, when this film is coming from a female, the whole incident is not very sensualized. It was shown as it is. That's what the feeling, at least I got. So yeah, that's why I think these voices are very important to remain and to continue in this space.
Right. I hope someone's keeping time. Okay, it's almost one. I would open the session for question and answer from the audience. If you have any, you can ask our panelists. Yes. Yes. Yes, sir. Someone please give him a microphone.
Ma'am, I was listening to you, and can you just tell me that women down the ages, haven't women giving women so much empowerment, hasn't it increased lives nominal? I mean, women are these days, I just feel all over the countries, down the ages, I know that you have been suppressed and all that. Now sensitizing yourself or coming out with your issues boldly and all that. Like everything was behind a veil and people were speaking to their family members about certain issues like menarche or pregnancy issues and all that. They were hiding, they were just speaking within the woman, or if they had somebody to be caring, a mother or a mother-in-law, whatever. Now the women have come out very boldly and they are trying to take the men's job. Do you feel as a man is suffering because due to these reasons, there's lots of conflict and fightings happening? When the planet, what sort of a planet are you talking about? The planet supposed to be peaceful relations between the wife and, now the wife is earning more, she's trying to grab everything, she's trying to dominate a man. Where does the man lie now? I mean, he's seeking extramarital affairs because he's not...
Hi, sir. Hi. I'm a feminist, and one of my real interest is to talk about masculine toxicity and to educate myself, my fellows of various genders and men of the harm that toxic masculinity is doing to them. So that is
perfect, ma'am. I just understood you very wonderful. But I'm sorry to cut you here. Just a minute. What I meant to say is that everything out of limit is bad. Both the men and the women are equally to be blamed for any sort of... Prerna, ma'am, are you listening?
Yes, we are.
Because you're so mature in your relationships, you have made so many documentaries.
Yes.
I just feel as a wife also you have had a very meaningful relationship.
I'm a single mother, but that's all right.
Perfect.
I want to
sure.
give a small example to you. I understand your concern, sir. I think men are feeling threatened by the women working in the industry. Is it what you are trying to say?
I just feel everything has gone out of place, out of limits. Both the men and women have to be equally to be blamed.
Do you use trains to commute? So in a train, let's say there are 12 dabbas in the office time, and there are 1 or 2 dabbas of women.
Are you talking about the AC train or the general local?
General, local, whatever it is. Whatever it is, I'm telling you.
I think.
I understood your question very well.
Farha, I think the first gesture as a decorum is to be a good listener. Okay? I would really appreciate if you could just listen. No, I'm still talking and you're interrupting me. I sincerely apologize, but I would like you to please first listen and then respond. Okay? Thank you so much for all of us being here. Yes, Farha.
Thank you. So in this 12 dabba ka train, there are 2 dabbas that are dedicated to women. Still, I could fit in. I could get in those dabbas, but in the male compartments, I could never get in. And I could never even try to get in. It's so full. So do you think, I'm talking about the office time, trains. So do you think still men are very threatened that women are taking all the space? I don't think so. It's very visible. It's everywhere.
If you don't mind, I just would put my grain of salt. I believe in education. I think, an educated person is always a better person to deal with. I think maybe you need to get more educated on our subject matters before you think, you're making statements about, how we can, because it was very difficult to follow you through your train of thoughts. But if I understood well, you think we're trying to dominate or something. Nobody is getting, if you don't mind, nobody is getting anywhere, and especially in our field, if we want to dominate, we just want to be storytellers, and we just want to help out, our own gender, because we need to, and that's it.
I'm sorry, but making a man fall will never lift up
I just would like to ask my question. I feel really inspired and empowered listening to your stories. I'm from Australia, and I find when I learn about India and how they do talk about domestic violence, they really want to bring it to the forefront to address these issues that women experience, which is exclusion from the economy, violence, rape, all this kind of stuff that we don't want to talk about that's happening. And it happens in Australia. Sorry if I'm just talking, I'm just a little bit shaken up by some comments that we've had in the room. In Australia, we like to repress it. We like to push it down, pretend that we are so much better than other countries. So I really respect India and that voice that they want to bring up. Now, I would like to know, have you had any experiences with looking at females and the violence that females experience in the criminal justice system? And what is your experience on those issues about seeking justice in India?
Thank you so much. And personally, I have not encountered in terms of my filmmaking. Of course, personally, we do encounter people, women in our regular lives. But when you go to make a film, I think a lot of research and understanding goes into it. And there is injustice everywhere, and as filmmakers we try to uncover those. Me as a filmmaker, I have not dealt with this subject, so I'll not be the right person to say. I'll ask my fellow panelists if anyone has encountered that.
I didn't personally, but yesterday only I watched a film. It's in a rough cut stage. It's by a very new filmmaker. It's her first film. Her name is Rujuta, and she is making a film on 498A and Domestic Violence Act. Yes, and there, she is talking and she is documenting several women who were in marriage and has been exploited, physically, emotionally abused by their husband, and how when they reach out to the system. Let's say police station to file an FIR, or let's say approaching court, their 10 years is gone seeking justice. And sometimes they don't even go for FIR because they also feel pressurized or uncomfortable in those male spaces, because most of the time they were told that घर का झगड़ा है, try to adjust. So all these things, I think it's a very important film that she is making. But yeah, I mean, this is a direct film that is talking about criminality in its core theme. But there has been several films that has dealt with the law and how women are getting affected by it, but in nuances. It may not be the main thread of the film, but definitely there has been a lot of films. In layers they have covered it. Yeah, Miriam.
I'd like to add to it, actually. We as Indians, I speak for us, okay? So as a woman, what I have realized is we are conditioned into believing or normalizing domestic violence. We have seen our mothers or maybe our grandmothers going through it. Like, it's from personal experience that I'm talking about. I'm a single mother too. And violence could be of in of many degrees, actually. There's mental violence that happens, emotional violence that happens, and you are kind of not prepared when you're growing up. Your mother would not tell you that this might happen. And that goes for both the genders. The boys are not told. So that somewhat affects, by the time you realize that your boundaries have been violated, the damage is already done. You kind of slowly, you succumb to whatever is going on. I guess we have a long way to go. Not as a filmmaker, but I'm talking as a woman.
Yeah, I'd like to quickly respond as well to your question, because I'm a filmmaker from India, and today we had a screening of my film called From the Shadows, and it tackled cases of child trafficking women, and it directly looked at the legal system. So two women who basically are survivors of child sex trafficking and who go through the legal system to get justice. I think the challenge in taking up a subject like this, which is what I wanted to address, is one is post-Nirbhaya. There are very specific laws for even representing such cases. So it is a challenge to even take up a subject like this, because there are very strict laws on what you can and can't show. For instance, 4 years into filming, my survivor had every right to turn around and say, your film is going to be ready before my verdict is out, in which case I don't want you to show my face, because it's a criminal case that is going on and I'm fighting a much larger battle. So as a filmmaker, you're taking all your material and what you thought was your canvas is kind of snatched away from you, and you're in the edit room trying to still find a way to put out the story. So I think that is the challenge as filmmakers, to kind of now embark into this area where maybe the survivors are willing to speak, maybe they are willing to share their story with you, but then there is the question of consent and how we kind of navigate these spaces to still put out the story.
Thank you.
We need this venue. This would be your last
question.
We have it, yeah. Last question. Thank you.
Good morning, all of you. I just wanted to say that I saw this morning your documentary, and I think it's an extraordinary documentary, and that makes the fact that documentary is made to show reality, and you depicted reality in such a way, with such artistic view, that there is no word to say. You just have to see it.
Thank you.
It's called Missing Girls.
Well, that was the last question. Do we have one more? I think we can take one more, can we? Okay. No? Gauri? Okay. Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and especially to the panel. I mean, such a intriguing panel discussion we had. I'm Anamika Jha. I'm an entertainment lawyer. So I mainly, so lots of my clients are especially women documentary filmmaker as well. And what issue they face generally is getting fund. To fuel your dream, you need money, yeah? So I would like to get some insight from you guys, like a young women documentary filmmaker, like how they should approach the funding thing, so that they don't have to part away with their IPR, but at the same time they can have a proper funding. So a bit of insight will help. Thank you.
I think Farha had already appreciated and gone into the point of there are being organizations who are encouraging and allowing a platform for all kinds of filmmakers to make like NFDC and all of that. So I think she's already told us that. So there are legitimate, strong organizations who are working towards, and like Srishti and all of us know, it's the digital age. You just need to type in the words and boom, you're like, blasted with so many options. But yes, one needs to progress with caution and know who you're dealing with, and do your research and find the right people, and I'm sure there'll be platforms to fund you. But I think I'll pass it on to Farha.
Okay, so we have, I'm also part of a collective. It's called Bichitra Collective. So Bichitra Collective also has a fund, a fellowship, basically, and with a mentorship. It's a small fellowship, but one can apply for that. There are rough edges. The NFDC also publishes their call for proposals. PSBT2 in its new form, they have something like Doc Commune. So there are small. Also, I would like to mention about Rough Edges. They also provide a small grant, but again, these are helpful. Serendipity Cinema. There are several organizations that the filmmakers can look into in India, and now with the boom of internet, and there are a lot of resources if one can Google, and IDA, International Documentary Association, has listed their has made a list where you can get at one document, you can get the funds that are available for documentary filmmaking. One can go and just search International Documentary Association, and you can get all those. And also there's a festival list. You can apply for funds, and once the film is made, you can get all the list at one place. So these are the places one can tap into, and I think there are many avenues, but there aren't enough.
Okay. Thank you, Farha.
Thank you so much.
Well, we would like to end the discussion today. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Srishti. Thank you, Farha. Thank you, Isabella and Firuna. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gauri.
Thank you, Gauri. Thank you, NFDC and MIFF. Yeah.
So, well, I must say that today's insightful discussion has truly inspired all of us present here today. And we express our deepest appreciation to Miss Queen Hazarika for moderating today's discussion, and our esteemed panelists for their invaluable conversations. Can we have a warm round of applause for them once again? Yes, and last but not the least, our lovely and amazing audience for joining us this afternoon. And we also recognize the National Film Development Corporation for organizing this festival under the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Thank you so much. So we'll be having the next session at 1:45 p.m. So please don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Thank you so much.
Everyone look here.
Come this side. Come here. Come in the center.